Yo, it's Matty Matters back with another weekly podcast. My partner, Uncle Rob, and cousin Alex and I will discuss the New York Yankees. How did you guys become Yankee fans? Like a backstory.
So I've been a Yankee fan since I was in the womb. Brought up the right way. My dad was a Yankees fan, so it just stuck with me, and we've been following the Yankees for a while now.
How about you?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a different story. So, my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side, my grandfather was actually a Red Sox fan.
Oh.
Poor guy. He went so long without seeing a championship, but I'm glad that he did actually see one. And then my grandmother was a Yankees fan. So people are always like, well, how did you decide which team to pick? And I was always like, kind of joking, but, because my grandmother hit harder. So, and, raised us right, But, no, she didn't really hit. But, it's just a joke. It's just good for the story,
Uh-huh.
But that's how I became a Yankee fan, is my grandmother.
That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah. What about you, Matty?
Well, my dad was a lifelong Yankee fan, and I guess I kind of just picked up with it.
You followed in his footsteps?
Yeah.
There you go. That's what I did too.
Yeah. No. Makes sense. So what are we talking about today? I know you had a couple things on your mind that you wanted to talk about, kind of the postseason a little bit, what happened there, and then what happened with
free agency.
Right?
The off season.
Yeah, the off season. What did you want to talk about first?
I mean, I guess we could start off with postseason when we actually had Soto.
Yeah. So how do you guys think he did?
Soto in the postseason?
Yeah.
Oh, he rocked it.
Yeah, no. Soto had a great postseason. He had a great regular season with the Yankees.
Yeah.
But
his most productive home run season, I think, right?
Yeah, his most productive
41.
offensive season in general, I'm pretty sure. So he had a great season with the Yankees, obviously. I think a lot of help was from that short porch in left field, or in right field, rather. And postseason, he was great as well. He was always coming up with clutch moments. Got to thank him for that and be appreciative that we had him on that team. But also, we had some other notable stars like Volpe and Stanton, and obviously Cole, who's always going to be shut down.
Yeah.
So, got to be thankful for that we got those players, and hopefully, once we make the postseason next year, they can continue to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the point about Stanton because me, I've always been a little bit of a detractor from him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he's a great guy as a human being, but I think his best years were behind him. But this postseason, he really was clutch. He came up big. I mean, like huge. So, whatever happens I hope in the regular season he does a little bit better for us. Doesn't get injured as much. And this year he was actually pretty solid for the most part.
In the regular season. I mean, the problem with Stanton's always the injuries. He can't field, he can't run the bases, which is it's very hard to be a good player when you can't do two aspects of the game. But, the way he's hitting, if he hits like that again, he can hit 35 home runs if he stayed healthy this year, which we're never going to get a healthy season out of Stanton. Yeah. So I think if we can get a good 140 games out of him and he can hit 35 or so home runs, I think that's still a great piece to have in our lineup from day to day.
No, I agree. What do you think, Matty?
Well, yeah, Stanton, I don't know what's wrong with him. I guess he's getting old. He keeps on pulling hamstrings and stuff, and he just keeps on getting hurt. He has to take breaks. But like you guys said, the way he hit in that postseason was electric.
Yeah. See, I think with Stanton, some of these bigger guys, he's a big guy. Like him, Judge, those are big men. And they have, everybody's got large muscle groups, but they have very large muscle groups, and I think they're more susceptible to injury in the long run. So we got to take care of Judge especially too, because
he's a star player.
Yeah, he's one of our. He's another clutch player. He didn't do as great in the postseason. I hope he did.
No.
But he not so much carried the team over the regular season, but he was. If he wasn't there, I think it would have been a different outcome in the end for us, for sure.
I agree. We made it to the World Series with him struggling mightily, but at the same time, you got to realize we would have not even made it close to the World Series or close to the postseason if it weren't for him.
Yeah.
Because the season he just had is one of the best by a right-handed hitter ever. Just crazy to say in the modern era of baseball where we really don't see guys hitting like that. So,
Yeah, unless they're juiced, right?
Yeah, unless they're juiced. So.
But yeah, I mean the other thing I thought about over the regular season, which I'm really not. I mean, so I have mixed emotions about Soto, right? I'd rather see him as a Yankee. I'm glad we didn't spend the money. I think no player deserves that amount of money. And I think his defense is awful.
It's terrible.
He's a terrible defender. I saw a reel over the regular season. His regular season with the Yankees, he had like 13 missed balls or something.
Yeah.
I mean, Judge came up not clutch with that one missed ball in Game 5, but
and everyone is.
And everybody's all over him, but no one looks at what Soto didn't do over the regular season. We saw what he did, right? But we also have to factor in, is he worth $760 million dropping 13 balls in the outfield or not even attempting to get them?
That's the thing. I mean, if we look at what happened this past World Series with the Yankees, it wasn't really the pitching's fault. I mean, they did let up some big home runs and big runs that we could have done without. But, I mean, you look at it, our Game 5 blow-up in the 5th inning, that was all defense. And now we have the chance we can move Judge to a more natural position in right field where he's been a Gold Glover, I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't think
he
so.
Has. Well, he's been in the finalist for a Gold Glove there. He's a great defender in right field, and then we get Cody Bellinger in center field now.
Yep.
He's a great outfielder. He's fast, and he's a really good defender.
And he seems like he wants to be a Yankee.
Yeah, and then we get Jason Dominguez, our young prospect, top prospect, in left field, who is also pretty fast, can track down some balls.
Well,
his defense might need a little bit of work, but I mean,
I think Matty has a different opinion about that.
Yeah, that outfield defense I think is much better than what we had this past season.
So I think Bellinger's going to be playing left field, and we're going to put Dominguez in center.
Mm-hmm.
And then
is Dominguez a left fielder or a center fielder naturally?
So,
he's just an outfielder.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
He was a center fielder like his entire minor league, and then they moved him over there because they had Soto in right and
Judge
in center.
Okay.
But he was originally a center fielder.
Gotcha.
But
okay, that makes sense then.
But now we don't have to have Stanton or Soto out in right field, who jogs to the balls over their head.
Exactly.
And not to mention, when one of those guys needs a day off, we got Trent Grisham, who, I mean, despite struggling early on, he kind of picked up his offense in the second half, I feel like. And he's a great outfielder defensively there in center field, right field, left field. Yeah. So he's a really good piece to have off of our bench.
So aside from that with Bellinger, how old is he? Do you guys know?
I think he's like 31, maybe.
31.
30,
so he's not
terribly old.
Not terribly old, but he's probably like mid-career, right? I would think.
Yeah.
Not in his prime anymore.
Not in his prime, but he's still a good defender, right? Mm-hmm. He has a good swing, right? That'll probably help him with the short porch and right.
Yeah.
So I think we're good. And he's going to play outfield, right? Because he's also a first baseman, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but moving on to first base, we got Paul Goldschmidt, who is another guy, maybe a little past his prime, but, I mean, he's going to be better offensively than Ben Rice at first base, than Rizzo at first base, and anyone else we had this year. And even, he doesn't need to play every day. If we want to platoon him and Ben Rice, have Ben Rice go against the righties and Goldschmidt go against the lefties, who Goldschmidt raked against lefties this past year. I think that would be a good situation to have. Another good piece off the bench. But I think I could see him as an everyday player pretty much. I mean, won an MVP.
What's his health been like traditionally? Is he traditionally been solid?
He's traditionally very healthy. But, I mean, 2 years ago, he won an MVP. He's won Gold Gloves in the past. He's going to be much better than Rizzo defensively, who Rizzo is a good defensive first baseman, but just wasn't the best
ever
year
since
for
that
him.
Concussion, he's not been right.
But I mean,
Rizzo can't stay healthy either.
Yeah, that's the thing. You guys have anything else to say about Goldschmidt in our first base situation?
I think it's probably much improved defensively, and Goldschmidt also is a natural hitter. So
Yeah.
I think that helps us. I think the defensive part has always been something I've struggled with, the decisions that we've made on who we've brought on.
Mm-hmm.
And we always bring on, I feel like, older players to kind of like a stopgap measures, and we get rid of our younger players, or we don't really develop internally. So I think, Goldschmidt, being one of those older players, I don't think we're spending a ton on him.
Yeah, like $12 million.
Right. So
It's
I
not
think
terrible.
for a 1-year deal, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
So I think we can see what we got out there as far as prospects are concerned. I'd like to see the Yankees try to get younger.
Yes.
This brings me to my next point. I feel like rather than signing a guy like Christian Walker or trading for a guy like Josh Naylor, which they could have done, and had them for a couple seasons, I think the Yankees really are trying to get younger, because when we're looking at next free agency class, we got a really big name in there, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who he also isn't the best first baseman defensively, but
hitting.
he's about league average, but he can hit the ball very, very well, and to lock him up on like a nice contract, that would be amazing to see him in new pinstripes.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
But moving on, let's talk about the rest of the infield. We got second base, shortstop, and third base. We know Volpe's going to be that everyday guy at short,
Yeah.
but
Wait,
We have
who is-
Chisholm at second, right?
Chisholm
No,
at
he-
second or third. So this is the thing.
Isn't he a second baseman though by nature?
He
Yes.
is, and a center fielder, but he's no way he's playing center field.
No, he's not playing center.
But
I think he should go back to his natural spot,
Yeah.
but
because he
then
was not really that great at third last year.
that leaves a
defensively.
hole at third base.
Yeah.
So
So and we early on you were talking Arenado, right, for third, but
yeah, I like Arenado. I think he was a great player, but I think
a little
ever
bit
since
past
he
his
left,
prime.
he's past his prime. You looked at his last year's stats. He's always known for being a great defender, great defensively at third base, platinum glove winner. Last year he just didn't have it in him. He was not
true.
great defensively, not what he's usually like, and he couldn't hit the ball. So even though I love him as a player, I just think he's past his prime, and I think the amount that the Yankees would have to pay him for 3 years, it would be more of like a Josh Donaldson type situation where you're like,
Yeah, and that's scary.
yeah, you're like, what's going on with this guy? We're paying this guy a boatload of money for him to do nothing. So, other options, Alex Bregman, I know the Yankees might not want to break open the checkbook, and I know he's had some problems with the past on that cheating Astros team in 2017, but we'll have to see. We need someone that can hit the ball either at second or third base, because right now, our defense is looking much improved to last year, but our offense has gotten a little bit worse. So.
Yeah, you can't really have a hole at third.
Yeah.
Do any of those guys add up to Soto? Definitely not.
No, I agree. I don't think they add up to Soto, but I think what we did in the postseason as far as player acquisition, we spent well under $760 million, and we really plugged some gaps that we had.
Yeah, we did.
Especially on the pitching side. I think that's gonna loom large this year for us, because we had a fairly solid pitching staff last year. I would say it was I wouldn't say rock solid, but it was solid. But now I think we're going to be rock solid. We got Cole, we got Freed now.
Yep.
Right.
And we got Williams closing.
We got Williams closing. That moves.
And then we got Weaver.
We got Weaver. It moves him into a setup position, right? And then who else do we got?
So I feel like the starting rotation will be something
Heel.
like Cole,
Freed,
Rodon, Heel, and probably Schmidt.
Yeah.
Trying to think of who else. We also have Stroman. I know they're trying to move him currently, seeing if they could get him off the books. But even if you slot him in as that sixth starter, he's going to try his best to give you a good outcome every 6 days.
Yeah.
He's not going to get the innings, but think about it. If we know this team can make the World Series or make the postseason in general, I think it's important to have some of these older pitchers on our team that have dealt with some injuries in the past few years, such as Rodon and Cole and even Freed. I think it's very important, and not to mention Gill and Schmidt were injured last year. I think giving them an extra day of rest per week would go a long way, even though you might not have the best counting stats for them individually. I think as a team it'll bring us much further than.
Who else do we have for like set up in middle innings?
So they just re-signed Jonathan Loizaga.
Loizaga, that's right. I saw that.
And then they brought in this guy from Cincinnati. I'm not 100% certain on his name, but the fun thing about him is he is one of the nastiest pitches in baseball with his splitter, I believe. But the only issue with him is his command, which we've seen the Yankees pick up players like Clay Holmes and other people like that, bring them in with Matt Blake, who's one of the best pitching coaches in the league, and turn them around into great relievers. So I think, the stuff's there. If we can get that command worked out, tweak some of his, make some adjustments in his form, I think he could be a great pitcher for the Yankees coming up this season.
No. And Holmes went to the Mets, right?
Yeah, Holmes is starting for the Mets now. They're moving him to a starter. But, I think our bullpen is much improved from last year, too. Mm-hmm. Not 100% sure if we still have Canely, though, which he was great in the postseason.
I was going to ask about Canely. He's getting kind of up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think he's always been, a solid pitcher for us, right? And he's always been back and forth in and out of the organization. It'd be nice if we could keep him.
Yes.
It would be great if we could keep him.
And then I think, the holes that we have, where do we have holes? We don't have holes we got rid of Trevino, right? Trevino's gone now?
Yeah, he's to the Reds, I think.
Okay. And then we have Wells. Wells is going to be our everyday catcher, right?
Yeah, we just need a backup.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to find that in free agency. I'm sure they'll find someone.
Didn't we just get one from the Reds? It was the pitcher and then the catcher.
Oh, yeah.
But then the catcher, they said, was not the best hitter.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You look at what we had a few years ago with Trevino and Higashioka, where they were just kind of doing a platoon situation. And, offensively that year, I believe it was maybe 2022, we had a great catchers offensively. I think give Wells another year under the helm. I think maybe not play him every day, but play him every 3 times in a row and then give the backup a day.
Mm.
I think Wells can have a very productive offensive season for the Yankees.
Yeah, I liked the way he was swinging the bat. He looked good.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't super clutch, but he came up with some pretty big hits.
Definitely, yes. Like the home run to the second deck in the World Series. That was a pretty clutch hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, he's another guy that kind of struggled in the postseason, but he was a rookie last year. He had a great rookie year.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, he was a Rookie of the Year finalist.
Yep.
So, that was great to see. But moving back to our holes, we're going to have a hole at either third base or second base. And I know it might be crazy to say because no one wanted him, but I would have loved to see Glaber in that second base position because I know I said I would have loved to. Now he's a Detroit Tiger. It's kind of sad. Going to miss him.
Yeah.
He's been with the Yankees for 6 years now.
He started there, right?
Squad. No, he was an acquisition from the Cubs.
Oh, he was on the Cubs? I didn't realize that. I thought he was. That's the other thing that I get stressed out about is we didn't have, none of these natural born Yankees anymore. We only have a few. I think it's only Judge, right?
Yeah, Judge.
There's Judge.
Wells.
Oh, Wells now. Hopefully. Volpe. Okay. So maybe we're getting back to that.
Yeah, and that's it. Stanton was a Marlin.
Yeah.
Bellinger was a Dodger and a Cub.
It's nice.
Goldschmidt's Arizona.
Yeah, and Goldschmidt, Arizona. Yeah, but I heard, I read the other day somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but Goldschmidt. I feel good about him because I know he wants to play for the Yankees, and he actually had offers for more money. Mm-hmm. Over the course of the year, and decided to go to the Yankees because he wanted to play for the Yankees. So, and that's where those are the guys that are going to go out there and they're not just looking for the extra cash, right?
And if they do good,
going across town for a suite, for his family.
Yeah,
that bum. But but yeah, no, I think Soto did us justice throughout the regular season, and I'm gonna plug it in here, but I think he's a little bit of a sellout on the money side.
Yeah, no, I agree. You look at it. I don't know why you'd want to go to Mets, a team with pretty much zero winning history, with an owner that spent big the past few years, which brought them nowhere. So, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, besides Lindor and Soto, their offense isn't great. They've got some pitchers who, they're not great, but they're good. They're serviceable, but who else do they really have?
Alonso's on the fence, right? No one knows what's happening with Alonso, right? So they lose a big bat there, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like we should trade out Spencer Jones for another offensive hitter. Like, in the Double-A, if we're going to keep him down there for so much years, why do we even have him?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You know, at some point you got to give these guys a shot. Like, you know, I was talking to Alex the other day, and he thought they brought up Volpe a little bit too soon. And, you know, he kind of struggled at first, but I think he had a good season this past season. You know, defensively, I think the team could have done a lot better throughout the year.
Well, that's the thing with Volpe. Volpe, he's not going to offer you much on the hitting side as of right now. I think he's just not as polished in his game.
He had a pretty big hit in World Series.
He's clutch.
He is clutch. He did have a good postseason hitting-wise, but the regular season wasn't amazing. He was stealing some bases. I mean, you got to remember, this guy can get on base a little bit more. He hit over 20 home runs in his rookie season while also stealing 20 bases. First Yankees rookie to ever go 20-20. So, I mean, if he can keep that 20-20 up with his gold glove, possibly platinum glove defense, I think he can be a really good player for this Yankees team, even though he might not be the most productive offensively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like Jeter, the way Jeter started out.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't a huge offensive. You know, he hit a little bit more for average, though, Jeter did.
Yeah.
You know, so and I think that's the other thing that we got to look at. Like, when we look at offensively, do we need guys hitting home runs all the time? I think we need guys that can get on base, that can hit for average, you know, and give us a chance, you know, every at bat, you know, and not just have to wait for Judge or Stanton to come up clutch.
And then every major leaguer can hit a home run. They have the potential to do it. So,
right.
If they can get on base, great. Keep on rallying. I take base hits, a bunch of base hits over home runs.
Absolutely. 100%.
Because we're not going to go back to back to back every game.
No, if we can get guys, you know, that can hit extra base hits too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, not just singles, right? We need people that can hit triples, hit doubles, you know, and actually run the bases. You know, when's the last time we saw an inside the park home run? I think it was Jeter back in like. No,
Soto hit one.
Oh, Soto did?
This year.
Yeah. Okay, I missed that then. My bad. But, but yeah. So I think, you know, if we can get guys that hit a little bit better for average, you know, hit some extra base hits and that, you know, aren't home runs. We're not looking for the big swing all the time, you know, and relying on the big swing all the time, then I think we'll be better off, you know. I mean, guys that can steal bags too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I miss, who was it? I think it was, can't remember what year it was. But we go like first and second. We have people on first and second. We'd steal second and third. Mm-hmm. You know, it was Jeter and someone else. I can't remember who.
Well, that's the thing with this Yankees team. I mean, what we might be losing in defense or offense right now, we're getting in defense and speed. I mean, you look at Jazz and Volpe. Jazz, I believe, had 30 stolen bases last year. Volpe can easily have 30 stolen bases. You look at Dominguez, pretty fast.
Yeah.
Probably have around 15. You look at Bellinger, can probably have around 15. I mean, you feel like in this new Yankees era, the Stanton and Judge era, the Yankees have never really been able to steal bases like other teams in the league, and I think we have a much better opportunity this year to do that.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think about is like our acquisitions, right, offensively. You know, who'd we get? Bellinger
and Goldschmidt,
right? And they can both hit the ball, right?
Yes.
So that gives us 8 to 10 at-bats a game, right? If you think about it, versus Soto's 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. He's not going to hit the ball every time, Soto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and we have a much better chance offensively, I think, with more guys that can hit than just relying on Soto. It's like relying on Judge, right? Judge is a great hitter also.
We saw it in, what year was that, 2023. I mean, he was having an amazing season. He was pretty much carrying this Yankees team, and then once he went down, completely missed the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
but I think with some more of, you know, naturally offensive guys that can hit, we have a much better chance at being consistent, you know? Mm-hmm. And maybe Volpe, you know, gets a few more, you know,
works on a swing,
develops a
little
little bit better, you know, and then, you know, I think the pieces are there. Chisholm can hit, you know, we know that, but he swings a lot and misses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think if we work on those two guys, we plug someone in good at third, even if it's just someone defensively. I don't care if they can hit. You know, I think we have what we need. You know, offensively, it'd be nice to get someone that's a average hitter or, you know, something of that nature. But I think if we can get a real good defender there, you know, that's an average hitter, you know, I'd be fine with that.
Well, that's the thing right now. The third base market is very weak along with the second base. We keep Jazz at third base. If we move Jazz to second, either way, it's not like we're going to get an amazing hitter there.
Yeah.
So what I think the Yankees are going to do, and I'm a little bit frightened of this, but I think they're either going to stick Oswaldo Cabrera there or Oswald Peraza, who were two prospects coming up in the Yankee season since some have had good seasons. Oswaldo, obviously great defensively, can steal some bags, and can hit decently well, a little bit below league average. But Oswald Peraza is a guy who has had some great seasons in the minor leagues and maybe can develop into a pretty decent major league hitter, but not 100% sure on how the defense and the speed is there. But yet again, he's another young player. So, I mean, our team's getting younger, and we're going to have to wait and see how they perform this year.
Yeah. I think, you know, I'd really rather not see Jazz at third. I mean, there was some messy plays there, you know, that could have been avoided. But, you know, what were our options last year, right? We had few and far between. So, I mean, for what we had last year, we were kind of cobbled together, I feel like, in one sense, but really put together in another sense. And, you know, we made it to the World Series, you know?
Yeah.
Game 1 World Series, I think huge mistake putting Nestor in where they did. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Yeah, I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but you know, I would have burned someone other than Nestor there. You know.
Yeah.
But that's all hindsight, right? Looking forward, what do you guys feel? How do you think we're going to do this year? Who do you think is going to be like our biggest competitor this year? Dodgers, yeah. Well, we're not going to
start off in the AL maybe.
Start off in the AL.
What's Baltimore looking like?
Baltimore, they're okay, but they just lost. God, who was that? Who'd they just lose?
Corbin Burns.
Oh yeah, he went to Arizona.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about Santander? Are they still over there?
Nope, he's still a free agent. So, but they did sign Tyler O'Neill, who was a very productive hitter on the Red Sox last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he's a righty, and they're moving in that. You know how they moved back that wall a few years ago in left field?
Yeah.
They moved it back in.
I don't think they should be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should leave it where it lies, and that should be it. Like, because that's it's almost like cheating to me.
Yeah, because like we can move our wall back 500 feet.
Yeah, we'll just do it like every off inning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just move it back at 30 or 40 feet. This way, no one can hit home runs.
Yeah, but I mean, some teams I'm scared of in the AL East, keeping it AL East, I'm not too concerned with Baltimore. We've seen the Yankees play well against them the past few years, and Baltimore not play well against the Yankees. But one team I am pretty frightened of right now is the Boston Red Sox. I mean, last year obviously didn't make the postseason, but they have 3 top 10 prospects in all of baseball. They're becoming scary. They had Jarren Duran break out last year. They obviously have Devers, who demolishes the Yankees whenever they play him.
Cole specifically,
too. Then they've got guys like Yoshida, Casas at first base. They've got some really good players, and not to mention their weakest part of their team, their pitching, just got to load better with Walker Buehler.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And Garrett Crochet. So I mean, I think they're trying to go not all out this year, but improve their team, make it better and better. So I think this year, next year, and the next few years, Boston's going to be a very competitive team, especially with all their top prospects coming up.
What about Toronto? Anything going on up there?
Not really.
Toronto, I'm not too scared of. They refuse to make moves this offseason. I mean, they've made one for Andres Jimenez, who's just a good fielding second baseman. That's about all he is, but not too concerned with him, with them.
Tampa,
I never know with them. They'll either be amazing or they'll be awful.
They lost a Rosarina mid-season, who was one of their star players.
Right.
But they're getting their ace, Shane McClanahan, back from Tommy John this year, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so we still need to find a third baseman.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, not to get off topic. I'm still thinking about third. But, so let's see, what's Central look like?
The Central, I mean, I'm never too concerned with the Central. We know the Yankees really like to play there, demolish them.
Yeah.
I mean, Royals, they're not getting much better. I mean, unless their players develop a little bit more, they haven't really made any moves this offseason. Twins can be a sneaky good team if they're not.
Yeah, we've traditionally spanked them.
Yeah, not if they're dealing with injuries. Guardians have gotten a little bit worse. They've traded away some of their good players, so we'll see if they're still a good team and make the postseason this year. And I'm not too worried about them because we beat them 4-1 in 5 games. So
yeah.
Then lastly, the Tigers, who were the surprise team of last year, kind of came out of nowhere and made the postseason, beat the Astros in the first round. They can be a scary good team if they can develop some of those hitters and pitchers and maybe even sign a guy to come in
see
like
what they do with
Santander.
Glaber, right?
And they just got postseason Glaber.
Yeah, let's see what they do with Glaber.
So they can be a scary team, an underrated team that will sneak up and bite your heels and annoy you. But moving on to the West, I mean,
what do we got out there in the
we
West?
got the Astros, who just lost Tucker to the Cubs.
Hopefully they don't cheat
who's probably one of their best players. And then Bregman, who's a free agent right now, likely not going to re-sign with them. But they did add Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes, who are 2 very good bats. And I think especially Paredes is going to play very well with that short porch in left field because that's what he likes to do, hit home runs. That's why he was so good in Tampa.
I still got third base on my mind, and like you just mentioned Bregman again. I forgot the fact that he's still available.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as much as I think the guy's a smug jerk at times.
Yes.
You know, his attitude. You know, maybe we bring him on. I don't know how compatible he would be in New York, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
you know, if he doesn't do well, he's going to suffer. You know, Yankee fans are going to make him suffer.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But who knows? Maybe Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt do good from their 1 year, and they want to be a Yankee, so maybe they'll sign back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's true. But I'm still thinking about that hole over in third that we got. You know, if we could get Bregman, you know, I could probably get over the fact that he was on that cheating Astros team and, you know, such a smug guy to begin with. But it's kind of attitude is everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see what happens.
I mean, that's the thing with Bregman. Bregman would be a good addition to the team. He can be that leadoff guy for us. He can get on base very well, can hit 20 to 30 home runs a year and play really good defense at third. So
yeah,
it would be a really nice fit in the lineup-wise, but in clubhouse-wise, I don't know if we want to see him there. That's the issue. But back to teams, I mean, Mariners, they can be a scary team this year if their offense hits much better than they did last year. They obviously had the best pitching in the league last year. They've got 5 great starters who are scary and a great bullpen that's locked down. But looking at their offense, which is awful last year, I mean, if they can sign a guy like Santander, just get someone else there in that lineup that can hit, because they got a few good offensive pieces, but they really need to piece that offense together. They can be a scary team in the postseason.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Then lastly, I think most underrated team, and I think the scariest team going into this year, in the AL, in my opinion at least, is the Texas Rangers.
Oh, Texas Rangers. I was going to say, what about Oakland? Mm-hmm. They're never scary.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Rangers. But I was like, Oakland? No.
Rangers this year, I think they have a top 3 lineup in the league. They've got some great hitters out there, and not to mention they just signed Jock Peterson, who absolutely mashed last year.
He can hit.
So
yeah, he's older too. That's surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he is old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're kind of scary, and then I mean, you look at them, they're pitching. They're getting Jacob deGrom back this year, which if he can stay healthy, we know he's most likely going to be the best pitcher in the league.
Yeah, he's locked down.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I'm not 100% sure who they have on their staff. I'm pretty sure maybe Eovaldi re-signed there. But yeah, they've got a few guys that can definitely do some damage.
That's the thing that drives me nuts is like we have these guys, right, and we start developing them, these pitchers, and then it's been over the last like 3, maybe the last 5 seasons. I forget when's the last time we had Eovaldi, right? But
a while ago.
Yeah, but we lose these guys, and then these guys end up pitching really well outside of the Yankees
like,
organization. It makes me lose my mind.
Gallo.
Yeah, Gallo. Who else?
Gallo hasn't really recovered.
Well, like the first year he left, he did decent, a lot better than he did on the Yankees, and then he kind of fell apart again.
I don't know. I'm really trying to think. I can't really think of that many guys. I mean, maybe some pitchers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The pitchers, more specifically pitching. Like they're not big. They're not huge
No,
names.
Severino.
Severino
sucked in 2023. Went to the Mets last year. Played good, and now he's got biggest contract in Oakland Athletics history, or just the Athletics now.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like we get these guys, and I don't know what we're doing wrong, but clearly we're not doing something right, right? Because they're getting out onto other teams, and they're getting productive, and they're not Garrett Cole type guys, right? Mm-hmm. But they become more solid. Is my point after they get out of the organization, and I think I'm not sure what that is. If it's that. I don't know where some of these guys came from. Severino came right from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe we're doing something wrong somewhere. But besides that fact, the NL, I think. What do you guys think about the Mets?
The Mets, they're a pretty scary team.
I agree. I mean, I think they can be scary this year, but I mean, they obviously made the postseason this past year. Got a little bit lucky, I will say.
They 4-0'd us.
Yeah, they did this past season. So I think they can be a good team, but we'll have to wait and see. I think the Yankees are really going to turn on and want to show out based on what Soto did to them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of get their revenge. But, I mean, they're scary, but also you got to remember, they're in one of the most competitive divisions in the league with the Phillies and the Braves, who are both teams who have made it to the World Series in the past few years. Atlanta winning one in 2021.
Yeah, but I think the Braves they're losing some big pieces to their puzzles.
Yeah, they're losing some pitchers. I mean, they did lose Fried, but they
lost Freeman the year before.
Yeah, they're a pitching factory, though. That's one thing about Atlanta. So I think their offense is obviously going to be good because they're going to have Acuna back. Yeah. And I think everyone on that offense will start hitting a bit better. And then they've got some really good pitchers that are kind of underrated right now. But, yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be a good team. And then obviously the Phillies. Phillies are always a good team in recent years. They're going to be scary next year. And we'll just have to wait and see how they do.
Yeah.
Then looking at the rest of the NL Central, no one really scares me that much.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe the Cubs are going to be better this year since they have Tucker
They're always
now.
up and down.
But they also just lost
Bellinger and Brady, so we'll see how they do. But looking at the NL West, I think there's 3 really good teams in that division, being the Dodgers, Diamondbacks,
and Giants,
and the Padres.
Oh, the Padres.
Oh, the Padres.
Padres have an elite lineup. They've got some really good pitchers in Yu Darvish, Dylan Cease, Michael King, who was a former Yankee.
Yep.
Traded away in that Juan Soto deal.
And he's doing well?
Yes, he was very good last year. But he was very good with the Yankees.
It's a curse. It's a curse.
Yeah. Dodgers, obviously, we know who they got, and they just got Teoscar back, added Blake Snell. They've got too much money to spend.
I think they are probably the team to beat next year.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you also look at a team like the Diamondbacks, who I don't know if you guys knew this, but had the best offense in the league last year in all of MLB.
Wow.
They have Carroll.
Yeah, they have Corbin Carroll. They've got Ketel Marte, who's a stud. They just added Josh Naylor. They've got plenty of other guys that can be scary pieces in that lineup. But they just
lost Jock Peterson, right?
They did lose Jock, but they've got guys that can replace him, and I think they're going to be a good team. Even if their offense isn't the best in the league like it was last year, and it's like top 5 instead, I mean, think about how much better their pitching just got with Corbin Burns. Then you also got Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and a few other good pitchers that can be scary.
Yeah. So I think we've probably covered quite a bit here today. I think the glaring open spot for us is third base, right? And we're just going to have to put a little faith behind Cashman and the Yankees organization that they're going to go out and do the right thing and try and find someone that can fill that hole successfully, at least from a defensive perspective, right? And I think for me that if we get someone who's really solid defensively, I'd be good with that. I think our offense, is definitely, on par with what we would want. Obviously losing Soto, but just the money. The money alone, the attitude, and he was very complimentary of the Yankees organization. And, you got to thank him for that. But at the same time, where his priority was. It was his wallet. So
he took money over loyalty.
Yep. So we'll see what happens, right? I mean, any other thoughts there, Matty?
I mean, I feel like Soto, we definitely could have added to our 2025 team to make it much better. We lost him in free agency, and that's that. Let's move on, and that's exactly what we did. We're picking up new guys. Who knows? Maybe we'll pick up some even better ones.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, they got Soto for a long time now, and they better hope he's not really injury prone, but once he starts getting a little older, he might.
He does not need Shohei Ohtani money.
No, I mean, I think Shohei got too much money too. Quite honestly, but these guys got the money; they can pay it. Yankees used to have the highest payroll in baseball. And I don't know what it is over the last few years, but we've not been able to pay the way we like to. I think it's because we bring on these old guys, that are past their prime, still hit big names, which bring a lot of times just big dollars. But so my point is, I think my parting fact or my parting thought is that we got to continue to get younger, find guys that can hit for average and hit extra base hits, which are not necessarily home runs, right? And guys that just can get on base, however they can get on base, And I think if we can do that, we definitely have the bats to put things into play, And then again, our pitching is definitely much improved from last year. We just got to fill that whole third.
I mean, that's the thing with the spending money. I mean, players aren't getting any cheaper. If you're scared to give Juan Soto that amount of money, next year in free agency, when we got players like Vladdy and Kyle Tucker there, who are relatively on the younger side, are going to be around 26, 27, 28 next year, and are going to demand 12, 13, 14-year deals. I mean, you can't shy away from that money because other teams are going to give those players that, most likely being the Dodgers and the Mets. And the Yankees got to stay competitive with them if they want good players on their team for years and years to come.
If Goldschmidt doesn't do good, he's gone. We could acquire Vladdy. God forbid the Mets do. That's that.
Yeah. And I guess that's the other thing that scares me is our pocketbook isn't as big as it used to be.
Yeah, which I don't understand. I actually saw a graphic the other day. I mean, the Yankees, they bring in the most money out of any team in the league by quite a significant amount. I believe second is the Dodgers. And the thing is, they're just scared to spend that amount of money. I don't think they want to go above a certain percent of how much money they make. But we'll have to see. I mean, there's mid-market teams that are spending more percentage of the money they make than the Yankees are. So that's quite interesting to me.
Yeah, I saw a graphic right before the postseason with Milwaukee's fielded team was paid less than one of the Mets pitchers. The entire team.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
They were making less money than one pitcher on the Mets. And I'm like,
that's crazy.
I'm like, this is insanity. I think, and this is going to be controversial, but I think MLB should put a cap on payroll.
Yeah, well, there should be a cap on how much you can spend, but I think there should also be a bottom line. Like, you need to spend above a certain amount of money.
Or a certain percentage of what you bring in, right? Something that makes sense because, a team like Milwaukee's never going to be able to afford Soto.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still a good team. They're putting good teams together. They made it to the postseason last year.
Those are mostly homegrown, though, right?
Yeah, homegrown. I mean, they've got Yelich, who's obviously a good player, a little injury prone, but they just got rid of. They just lost Adames to San Francisco.
Oh, that's a big.
Which is kind of a big hit. But, I mean, they've lost Corbin Burns the year before. They just can't keep their good players, their top-tier players, which, I mean, I guess in some cases is a good thing. Because you don't have to give them that amount of money and then have them suck a few years later. But also, you can't stay competitive for years and years like teams like the Phillies, Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Padres can.
Yeah, they got to find a way to be able to incentivize these guys a little bit more, because these guys that are coming out of there, that are good players, they're always going to be looking at their wallet, right? So maybe if you defer payment until they're, for 20 years or something like that, maybe that becomes more attractive because then it can be invested properly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What else you got, Matty?
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like the less, well, not like broke, but like less money teams,
smaller market teams.
Yeah, they miss out on all these good players, and they're like, man, I wish I would have got him, and they just don't have the money, and I guess that's not the thing with the Mets because they are absolutely stacked with the money, and they could basically get as much players if they agree to deals. But one of the biggest questions probably of the podcast is, will Soto get a boo or a standing ovation coming back?
I think it's a definite boo. Yeah, 100%. I think they might warm up to him a little bit later, but I think initially, I feel like the Yankees universe feels burned.
Yes.
Over a sweet.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't even for him; it was for his mom.
I know. It's just like he couldn't reach into his back pocket and spend that. I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
It's probably expensive, right? But I mean, $760 million. Come on, we were giving him what, 710 or something?
We were 720.
720.
No, we were higher. I think we were 760, and the Mets were 765. But they added that extra year, which can make it an extra $50 million.
Another extra $50 million. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think it's awfully short-sighted, but that is, he did what he did, right? We got to move on, and and just hope that this team that we got coming together is going to be able to produce. And I really hope whatever Subway Series we play this year that we end up on the winning end this year, because last year was a little bit dismal. Mm-hmm. I hate seeing that.
I don't like it.
It doesn't leave me with a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you're also looking at those Subway Series. I think we had some injuries during those. Most notably to our pitching staff with Cole and multiple other guys out.
Yeah.
I remember that play by LeMahieu when Lindor, I think, hit a slow ground ball at third base and he charged it and it got right past him and Lindor got a double.
Yeah, I feel bad about LeMahieu because I like him as a person, and he was clutch for a good 4 seasons for us. Mm-hmm. And then he just started getting injured, and once he started getting injured, he just never was the same. So.
Well, that's the thing. What are our thoughts on LeMahieu going into the season? Past 2 years, he's had some big injuries that have sidelined him and not had him be the best player.
At third?
He could be.
He could play third.
He could play third or second. He's going to be one of those two guys. I think if we don't sign anyone going into the season, there's a really good chance that the Yankees are like, let's see what you can do out there. Let's see if being healthy can make you a good player, because that's the thing with a player like LeMahieu. I mean, maybe his defense isn't going to be the same. He's not going to be able to move the same like he once was, but the main attribute to his game was his contact, and that's kind of a hard thing for most players to lose once they're getting older. That's one consistent. I mean, players will lose power, speed, athleticism, all that, but his contact should stay the same. So
yeah, I mean,
if he can hit a bit above 300, that would be beautiful to see. Plug him back into that leadoff spot, but we'll have to see.
I mean, that's the thing. That's what we're missing. Is we're missing what LeMahieu was initially brought to the Yankees to do, right? Mm-hmm. Was being able to hit for average. You know, he hit home runs, but he didn't hit a ton of home runs. But he hit, you know, consistently. You know, where other guys are hitting a lot of home runs, but they're not hitting consistently.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so
true.
you know, it's just a shame what happened with him, and you know, maybe he turns it around this year. We'll see. You know, I mean, he's still on the books, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, whatever you can do, you can never make me hate LeMahieu. They signed him for 2 years, $24 million back in 2018. 2019, he finished top 4 in the AL MVP. 2020, finished top 3. Yeah. I mean, he was rock solid in a Yankees lineup that had plenty of injuries and carried them for a while. He had that clutch home run against the Astros that got overshadowed by Jose Altuve's home run off of Chapman, but he's been a great player for the Yankees. We haven't really seen him do great since about 2021, so I mean, maybe he can bring it back in 2025. We'll just have to wait and see, but I mean, honestly, I loved what he did for us, but when he was a free agent, I was kind of on the train of let's not re-sign him. He's getting a little bit older. We don't know if the stats are going to stay the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like he would have been a really good 2-year deal for the Yankees. But
yeah, that's truth.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. You got anything else, Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Yankees could definitely go for a few more free agents. They've got a lot. Let's just hope the other teams who have not gotten free agents are also in for it. And let's just hope for the best and see if we can get our hands on a few more.
No, I think that's pretty good closing there. You know, in closing, you know, I think we know what we need. Mm-hmm. Got any ideas for your next podcast?
Well, if my next podcast comes and someone signs with the Yankees or signs someone else, which someone will probably sign with someone like a different team, like maybe Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman. Maybe that will be one of my topics for next one.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we got to look at a little bit, and you know, is what's going on at the manager position, right?
We should just fire Aaron Boone.
Right. I think that's, you know, I don't want to get into that right now because we could have a whole podcast just on, you know, what he's done well and what he's done not so well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think that's something that's probably a pretty good topic to think about, especially this time of year, because us bringing him back again, you know, he'll be back again next year. We got to try to put some faith behind him. Someone should slap him for that Cortez move, though, in Game 1.
Yeah.
You know, I think they should dock him like $1 million or something for that move. I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, this game's over. You know, and Freeman, 4 runs, bam. First grand slam in home run history, right? Walk-off, sorry. Yeah, walk-off. And I was just like, no, this cannot happen right now. I was like, and quite honestly, that kind of set the tone for me. I was like, this is not going to be a good series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was watching it up there, and as soon as they brought in Nestor, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And like the announcers were like, he hasn't pitched in 2 months. I'm like, exactly.
He's so rusty, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this series could have gone so much differently. I mean, a few small mistakes on the Yankees' part. I mean, you saw the Dodgers said after they beat the Yankees, like, we're not going to have to work too hard. We're just going to have them beat themselves.
Yeah.
And that's an embarrassing thing to have said about a team.
Yeah.
Especially a team that's in the World Series, and they did beat themselves. If we brought someone else in, we're looking at bang. We're starting off 1-0. Dodgers win the next 2. We win the next one. We're tied 2-2. We have a 5-run lead in the 3rd or 5th game. We win the 5th game. 2-2. 3rd or 4th game. 4-2. 5th game. 2-2. 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 5th game. 2-2 We're up 3-2. We need one game out of 2 to win a World Series. And, hey, I mean, we could have flipped the script a little bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's what happened with the Guardians, right? That one game, we kept going back and forth with the lead.
Uh-huh.
Where we ended up losing it. I'm like, we just gave that game away.
With the
and I feel like we gave away.
We were 1 strike away.
Yeah.
And then
John Kenzie Noel.
Yeah, he hit
that
the
guy.
home run, and then David Fry.
Yeah.
Hit the walk off.
Yeah, but and then back to the series though, the World Series. We gave up a lot there too.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't out of every one of those games by any means. That we lost, and to Dodgers' point, we did beat ourselves. We did. They just sat back and watched us crumble in Game 5. That was probably the worst display of defensive prowess in a World Series ever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, errors happen, but do 3 errors in a row happen?
They do.
From 3 shorthand. I mean, I think it's just stuff happens. I mean, Judge...
That was a lot of stuff.
If Judge caught that ball, it would have been better, but...
But then we had Volpe and Jazz with that misplay, which...
And then with Cole and...
Yeah.
Rizzo at first base. Like,
that was a little rough.
Who's on first? I mean...
That was pretty silly.
But, yeah.
That was a tough
And then
scene.
Mookie hit that sac fly. There's nothing you can really do about that. But then to win the World Series, Verdugo was chasing 3 feet outside the zone.
Yeah.
Glad he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a few good
Wait, where did
stretches
he sign?
there.
Is he still?
I think he's still free agent.
Yeah, he's still a free agent.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to find a home really quick. But
Definitely not.
I liked his attitude though.
I did like his attitude.
Even
He
coming
wanted
from
to win.
Boston, But
Well, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, last year you look at the Yankees, they had a lot of character on that team. And I think it was kind of a good thing. I mean, there are some reports out there of Juan Soto being a locker room cancer, but I mean, the rest of their guys that they brought in, Soto was a fun guy. He brought some fun to that team. He brought some youth to the team, which was much needed. But I mean, you also look at Verdugo as a big character. Stroman's a big character. Jazz, they just traded for, is a big character in the middle of the season.
I'll tell you,
We still got a few characters on that team that can make baseball fun for everyone and spark something in that locker room.
Yeah, you said something. You said Jazz, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was one game, I think it was against the Guardians, where they got into a little kerfuffle.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? I can't remember who it was with.
Yeah.
But I wasn't super impressed with his maturity there. I thought it was really immature of him, the way he went about handling that because who was it? It was Volpe came in. Someone was coming in for the tag, right, and slapped him, right, and then he got up and he kept backing him on the back, and the guy started. I think it was the Guardians, right, and he was chomping at Volpe, and then Jazz got in his face and started saying something. People started emptying the benches.
Wait, no, I think that was the Royals.
You think it was the Royals?
I think.
Well, whoever it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter. I just didn't like the way that he handled himself. I thought it was really immature, and I think as a Yankee, you got to be better than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like that, but that is what it is. Mm-hmm. We're just at about an hour.
Yeah.
This has been good. This has been good. So.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing us on.
Yeah,
we've been looking forward to this. This is like
Thank
this
you.
this podcast is like really getting out there. Everybody's like, you hear about Matty Matters, and I'm like, what's that? And I'm like, yeah, it's one of the best Yankees podcasts
in the world.
And Matty Boyza, he's up there. Hopefully he'll be a Yankee one day, right? Let's go.
And I'm Matty Matters, and what matters to Matty is the New York Yankees. See you next week.
Let's go, Yanks!
Let's go Yankees.